Hey, welcome to Bloodhouse, the show where we talk about art house horror movies. I'm one of your hosts, Joshua Conkle.
And I'm your traumatized voyeur and other host, Drusilla Adela. Hey,
How's
Josh,
it
how you
going?
doing?
You slept with your makeup on.
I did sleep with my makeup on. I look very good today. I went to an art show last night. It was the opening of the new Creepy Gals exhibit in downtown LA. So it was a very, very raucous, fun night down there. And by the time I got back home, after having in and out like an Oscar nominee at like 1 a.m., I slept on my makeup. So that is the vibe I am bringing to this episode. Is I am tired, but I have like really, really smudgy eyeliner on. So let's go.
That's just the energy. I mean, we record on Sunday mornings. That's like a little peek into how the sausage is made. So often we're like, I'm here with wet hair, fresh out of the shower. And, this is like our church.
Very much so. How are you? You just got back in town. You've been busy, busy, busy.
I have been busy, busy, busy. I'm feeling happy, but a little borderline overwhelmed. I just wrapped on my film, which was like such a dreamy experience. We filmed in this like 125-year-old 12-bedroom house in the Catskills. So the whole cast and crew lived there for those days.
God damn.
It was in the snow. It's like a sort of folk horror gothic romance Christmas movie, and it's like snowy, and we had this beautiful catering, and I made it with my best friend Megan, who is also the lead actor. So it just was like a very positive, super dreamy experience. I have no idea if it'll cut together and be like a good movie, but the cinematographer was incredible. It looks beautiful. It was a super fun experience, and I'm super excited to go into post-production on it. So yeah, that was a good experience, but I don't love, no offense to anyone who lives there, New York City. So I tried to spend as little time as I could there. But while I was there, I went to the Angelica, which is a classic art house movie theater, of course, and saw All of Us Strangers, which I was late seeing. Absolutely loved. Could not have loved more. And at some point, there's a scene where they have just finished having sex. And then there's this woman who is like, it's a gay movie for anyone who hasn't seen it. So just imagine two men have had sex. And this woman, like 5 rows over, whispers to her friend, but in a way that everyone could hear. She goes, "That's cum." It was loud enough that a lot of people laughed, and it just felt so funny that she felt the need to explain it to her girlfriend. It was just like, wow, you are really not amongst your people right now.
Okay, but hear me out. What if that woman was like out on the town in New York City with her friend who's on her first Rumspringa, had no idea about the world. Her friend takes her to big old New York City to see All of Us Strangers, and she's heard about this cum so much, but she's never seen it. So she had to explain to her in the movie.
First of all, I love the idea of women in their 40s going on Rumspringa all of a sudden, because that's how old they were. And second of all, I hope that people on Rumspringa go see Andrew Hay movies at the Angelica. I somehow doubt that that's what they do. There used to be a reality show about kids on Rumspringa.
Yeah, I remember.
And, it seems like they did a lot of sucking and fucking on Rumspringa, and a lot of drinking and drugging. Not so much going to see art house movies, but, someone out there is doing it, I bet.
Imagine being raised Amish and then going on Rumspringa, and your first exposure to a movie is like an Andrew Hay movie.
I mean, Weekend would be, if you were like a closeted Amish person seeing Weekend,
it would change.
I bet that would be pretty life-changing. Yeah,
very much so. I'm now just trying to picture like what is the thing that's gonna fuck someone up the most. There's that like kind of like internet like lingo meme whatever of like, if I gave a Dorito to an like peasant child from the 14th century, it would kill them instantly. Like what? Like if like an Amish like 17-year-old on Rumspringa like wandered into New York City and like showed up at the IFC Center or like MoMA and waltzed into a screening of like The Devils or something, do you think they'd be okay?
No, I don't think that they'd be okay at all.
Imagine just stumbling into Suspiria. You've never seen a movie before, and you stumble into Suspiria.
Suspiria was playing, in fact, at IFC Film Center the night that I saw All of Us Strangers at Angelica.
Choices.
Like 5 minutes away. I just couldn't get in there on time. I couldn't get in there in time. I had to see a later movie. But I also wanted to shout out, I am living for Arrow Video right now because I just got my Conan the Barbarian box set, which I waited for so long for. And the transfer is really beautiful. Of course, it's a beautiful release like Arrow always does. But I've also been spending a lot of time as I travel on the Arrow Player app, which I kind of forgot about for a while for some reason. But there's a lot of really cool short films on there right now. There's like a folk horror one that's entirely in Welsh. That's really good. And then I also watched a bunch of movies by this filmmaker that I'd never heard of, who's named Jose Mojica Maris. Sorry if I pronounced that
Coffin
wrong.
Joe!
He's like a Brazilian. Yeah. He's like a Brazilian horror filmmaker.
I just bought the giant Coffin Joe box set from Arrow.
Oh, okay. So a lot of those movies are on the app, and he's basically the first Brazilian horror filmmaker. The movies that I watched reminded me a lot. They're in black and white. They reminded me a lot of Mario Bava's like gothic black and white period pieces. They kind of have that energy. The one that I watched was called At Midnight I'll Take Your Soul or something like that. But they're just super fun and really beautiful, great black and white texture. I just really loved them. So that's a shout out for Arrow, which I feel like we shout out every episode anyway. But I've just been really loving.
When you brought up the Conan thing, I was like, oh, I should bring up the fact that I just got the Coffin Joe set. And lo and behold,
here we are.
I had to like hunt that thing down like a motherfucker. It's finally available on Amazon for like $70. I paid more than that, but like I've been trying to see these movies since I was in high school because I would see like videos on YouTube of clips from them or like YouTube film critics circa 2010, 2009 talking about like the strangest horror movies you've never seen and talking about At Midnight I'll Possess Your Soul or, you know, what the titles are insane. And so to finally have like nearly all of his films, including like there's like some sex comedies in there and some like psychoactive like acid trip religious films and like I'm so excited to dive into that set. I'm so happy that you're also discovering him at the same time.
Yeah, they do have the energy that we talk about on the show a lot, which is that like you would put these on at a Halloween party to play like under pop music at your party because they're just like they're very aesthetic. They have a very specific black and white 60s aesthetic that's super good. But these are also Brazilian, right? So they're coming from a very different culture, and they often involve like mythology or folk tales that we're not familiar with as Americans, and so it has like an interesting. It's a bit like watching those old Japanese ghost story movies. You know, like it feels like that a little bit, but super cool.
Yeah, I cannot wait to dive into those. I'm so happy that you're getting into those at the same time. Oh my God.
How about you? Have you been watching anything cool?
I've watched so much stuff in the week between right now and the last episode that we recorded, which was a week ago from today. I've watched so many movies, which it's almost hard to believe that it's only been a week that I've watched all of these movies within the time of. Spoiler alert, it's not. We take breaks.
Yeah. It's been many weeks.
I watched some fucking bangers. I want to at least mention the one thing I saw in theaters, like of a new release that just came out. There's a new Diablo Cody movie out called Lisa Frankenstein. It's so fucking good. I had the privilege of seeing it last year in a rough cut, and going to the theater and watching it in full was such a fucking delight. I went with my girlfriend and we came in kind of early to get good seats, and then I went out to get popcorn, and by the time I came back, the theater was packed to the gills. And I feel like most everyone in there was below the age of 22. Um,
That's great news.
it was like mostly like young queers in there, and when the trailers were going, there was a lot of like buzz and talking and stuff like that. The moment that the Focus Features logo came up, every like teenager in the back went shh, shh. It was awesome.
Oh,
Everyone shut the fuck up. Everyone had a great time. Everyone was laughing their asses off. It's so goddamn like just delightful and fun. Like taking like a Frankenstein story and making the main character like a 17-year-old girl, the way that Mary Shelley
yeah.
was when she wrote it, is lovely. It's got like, a lot of love to like Georges Méliès and G.W. Pabst, and like a lot of love for silent film. Both Catherine Newton and Cole Sprouse's performance are really like rooted in a lot of silent performance. Cole Sprouse has like barely any dialogue, and he's
Mm-hmm.
incredible. It's really, really, really good. I think you're gonna love it. I know a lot of people are kind of like tired on like 80s pastiche and horror stuff of late. I feel like Stranger Things really like
Mm-hmm.
did an entire decade dirty. But Lisa
Yeah.
Frankenstein is a delight, and it's really, really, really fun. It's directed by Zelda Williams, who's Robin
Right.
Williams'
Robin
daughter.
Williams is a kid. Yeah.
And you know what? It's a delight. It's really, really fun to see Diablo Cody get back to what she did so well in Jennifer's Body. This is a lot more fun and frothy and romantic, but it's a hoot.
Uh-huh. I
I
can't
loved
wait
it.
to see that. I mean, I haven't been following it very much in terms of like reviews. And since I'm not on Twitter anymore, I'm kind of like out of the loop on kind of buzz and chatter. I did see a headline that said critics are treating Lisa Frankenstein, or critics are making the same mistake with Lisa Frankenstein that they made with Jennifer's Body. And that made me worry a little bit
Yeah,
about its
the
reception.
the majority of the people that I've spoken to who've seen it have loved it. The majority of the film critics that I've read talking about it are like really not into it, and I totally don't understand what's going on there. Um,
Yeah, I know. BJ Colangelo, friend of the pod and a critic,
mhm.
loved the movie. And I did see posting about like, well, no one's platforming the voices of queer film critics who all seem to really love this movie. So
Alonso
I thought that was
Duralde
interesting.
hated it, who's a
Oh,
queer film
really?
critic. He wasn't into
Okay.
it. Mariah Gates wasn't into it, but I've not trusted either of their taste a lot lately. So I don't know.
Okay.
It's I I really don't want people to repeat the history of Jennifer's Body, because I feel like so much of the past 5 years has been people finally coming around and being like, what did we do to this movie? How did we do it so wrong? And now they're gonna do it I don't want them to do it all over again with Lisa Frankenstein. Lisa Frankenstein
Right.
is super fun. It's so, 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 so good. It's not a fucking pastiche. It's not trying to be 10 other things. It's just genuinely its own lovely little story, and it's great. I think
Yeah. Can't wait.
listeners should go see it. I also got to see something else in the theaters this past week, because there was a Ken Russell double feature over at the New Beverly.
Oh,
I had to
wow.
skedaddle midway through because a friend was having a birthday party that night, so I didn't get to see the B picture, which was Lair of the White Worm, which I've already seen many times. We've covered on the
Mm-hmm.
show.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Mm-hmm.
did finally get to revisit Altered States in 35 millimeter, which was so
Ooh.
fucking fun. I love that movie so much. I don't think I'd seen it since high school.
I don't think I've ever seen it, to be honest.
First of all, William Hurt is so hot. It's his first movie. He's
He
the
is hot.
lead. You also get Bob Balaban wearing your exact glasses and sitting behind computers while William Hurt is in a fucking jar of goop doing drugs. Um, it's really, really, really good. It's also like it's written by Patty Chayefsky, who wrote Network.
Hmm.
He
Oh,
disowned Ken Russell's movie, but
okay.
it's really good, and it feels like it came out in 1980, and it feels like on the whole Ken Russell playing it straight, and like because it was his first big studio movie after Valentino and Litzomania, which were kind of
Mm-hmm.
bombs financially.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he's like playing it safe for the most part, but then it's also like treating it like an important like science fiction drama. But then it's also like the birth of his like 80s video glitch horror stuff that we get in Land of the White
Mm-hmm.
Worm, and Crimes of Passion, stuff like that. And that stuff is so fucking cool. But then it also kind of
Yeah.
becomes a body horror monster movie near the end as well, predating the effects work and set pieces in like American Werewolf in London and The Howling, and Cat People, while also doing
Mm.
a lot of what David Cronenberg would be doing like 2 to 3 years later and just dominating the 80s with. Um, it feels like it would make a great double feature with Cronenberg's remake of The Fly. It like it feels
Ooh.
like a missing text for 1980s science fiction horror, that doesn't get
Yeah.
discussed enough. And it was one that like I
Interesting.
found at a half price books in Indiana for $1, and it was like, this sounds good. I think I'd heard like a reference to it um somewhere, and just decided to give it a go. And like it was one that I watched a lot in high school because it was like, what the fuck is this? But
Yeah, I
it's like a
remember the
really good
cover
drama.
very well.
Mm-hmm. And the music video for Take On Me by Aha is significantly inspired by it, weirdly.
That's so weird.
It's really good. I loved it.
I feel like Ken Russell's having a moment because of that Criterion collection, because it feels like everyone's watching The Devils for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I just watched The Boyfriend for the first time, which I
Ugh.
absolutely loved. I mean, couldn't be more beautiful. Twiggy is such a charming actor. I really
Mm-hmm.
didn't know, because she's a model, of course. I'd never seen her act outside of like cameos on Absolutely Fabulous.
And the Blues
She's
Brothers.
adorable and charming. Oh yeah, that's right. I just loved it. So I'm glad that people are getting into Ken Russell.
Yeah, like horror is on the Criterion channel too. A friend of mine just watched that for the first time and loved it. He's
Mm-hmm.
really having a moment. I hope that this all leads to more physical media releases of his stuff in the future, so the stuff is more accessible. Because eventually, a spotlight of the Criterion channel is going to go away after so many months due to licensing
Yeah.
reasons. So hopefully,
And if nothing else, we need a physical release of the uncut version of The Devils.
good
Like, come on,
lord.
what are we even doing?
Hopefully, David Zaslav doesn't just delete it like
Oh
so many
God,
movies. Um,
monster.
I also watched. I just want to quickly run down some like older movies I watched for the first time recently that were fucking amazing. I watched the Polish movie The Saragossa Manuscript, which
Mm-hmm.
fucking blew my mind. Fucking incredible. I loved it so much. Great black and white 3 hour long art house movie from the 60s that is like as much a comedy as it is a horror movie. It is so good, reminding me so much of Buñuel and Pasolini, and I loved it.
Mm.
Speaking of Pasolini, I finally watched Teorema with what's his hot name? He's so hot. What's his name? Terrence Stamp.
Oh yeah.
Um and Anna Wyazamski, Jean-Luc Godard's girlfriend, wife. I don't know. I mean, the setup is that Terrence Stamp shows up at a bourgeois house, uh, and seduces every member of the family, and then leaves.
Ooh.
He shows up. He
Great.
seduces the father, the mother, the son, the daughter, and the housekeeper. They all fall in love with him. He fucks all of them. And then he's like, I have to leave now. And then just departs. And that's the midpoint of the movie. And then the rest of it is
That's
them all
amazing.
dealing with this.
Like the
Um,
fallout. Amazing.
it's incredible. It takes such fucking leaps. It is now my new favorite Pasolini movie. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And then Ivor and I stumbled across a movie that had a resurgence like 10 years ago or something, at CD Trader up in the Valley recently, and decided to take it home with us because it's unavailable now and out of print, which is a crime.
Mm-hmm.
The 1970s Italian cult insanity that is The Visitor, with John Huston and Franco Nero.
Oh, I love that movie. I didn't know that was unavailable. Oh no, I
It went
love
out
that
of print.
movie. Now I want it.
Draft
Oh,
House. It was
too
put out
bad.
by
That's a
Draft House Films, who also put out Ms. 45, and they don't
yeah.
exist anymore.
Damn. So you can't get
Yeah.
Ms. 45 either?
Mm-mm. I had to import a French one recently.
Damn.
I know.
The Visitor's a crazy movie.
The
I love
Visitors.
it.
every single day since then, Ivory and I have been quoting the "Mommy, mommy, look!" where she tosses a gun at her mom and shoots her and paralyzes her. A movie in which a woman gets a romantic abortion from Sam Peckinpah.
Insane.
It's Franco Nero plays like Jesus in like an intergalactic fight against the bad seed, essentially. It's so weird. It's so fun.
Oh
It's
my
so
God.
beautiful. It's one of the only movies where Shelley Winters survives. Like, Lance Henriksen is in it. Glenn Ford is in it with a really bad sore in his lip for the whole movie.
It's such a weird movie.
It's so good.
And
And
a
it's
great
like
cover, great poster art.
great poster art by Brandon Schaefer, who is the fucking king of kings and the former host of the great podcast, The Poster Boys. Fucking gorgeous. I love that movie. I wish it it had a big moment like 10 years ago or something when Draft House and Alamo kind of like rediscovered it and re-released it. But it deserves a third coming. It deserves to be revisited
It
because
was
it's nuts.
streaming for ages. It was on Shudder or something. That's how I watched it. I've never owned this or rented it.
Yeah, we found it and I was like, oh yeah, that one's supposed to be fun. And I looked it up and it was just like gone everywhere. Just poof, disappeared.
It's too bad.
I also have a VHS copy of it, which is
will
be how I will be displaying it for parties when friends come over.
I would expect nothing less.
Speaking of fun, insane movies that look beautiful.
Yes. Today we are discussing a good one. It is I would argue, like an art house horror 101, and we are late to covering it. But it's a good one. We are discussing from 1960, directed by Michael Powell, Peeping Tom.
Mark, what do you do?
I work in a film studio. I hope to be a director very soon.
What's going on here?
Murder.
All this filming isn't healthy. Mark?
Don't be shy.
What are these films you can't wait to look at?
My interest is in fear.
Have you gone crazy?
Yes.
Put that camera away!
So this is the second time I've seen this movie. I saw this the first time. I kind of only half saw it, to be honest, because I was like in my late 20s, early 30s, and I was dating an older man who was very handsome, and we watched this at his house, and basically we didn't make it through the whole movie, or the movie was on in the background as I got my back blown out or whatever. So that's the only time I've seen this movie until this week, watching it for the show, where I like gave it my full attention. How about you?
This was one of the many like art house 101 movies with like Eyes Without a Face and Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie, and The Seventh Seal that I like watched, I think like freshman year of high school or something like that, because my library back in fucking Indiana had for some reason a glut of Criterion DVDs, which was super fortunate for me. And this was out of print. It's still out of print in America on disc.
Oh, is it?
It was out of print then over 15 years ago and still out of print now. Though there is a new 4K restoration that's been playing theatrically in, I think New York, but London definitely. So hopefully that'll precipitate a new home video release in the coming year. It needs to happen. But it was one that like I very early on was like getting into art house movies, and I thought that a good gateway into art house movies would be through horror movies. And I was right. And I'd heard about Michael Powell because I'd seen interviews with Martin Scorsese talking about The Red Shoes and how much he loved The Red Shoes. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like a fucking ballet movie. That sounds girly and dumb. Joke's on you, former Drew. I am girly and dumb.
You're literally a girl.
Anyway, I fucking loved the red shoes, and so I was like, okay, let's see what else these guys got. And so I watched Peeping Tom, was totally befuddled by it, but loved it. And was really like shocked and surprised. It was also around the time I was getting into Brian De Palma movies, and these are like two sides of the same coin. I watched it a lot in high school. And then when I was in college, I finally was able to buy a copy of it from like a Reckless Records in Chicago or something like that, and watched that a bunch in college. And then at some point, I had to sell it, and I haven't been able to watch it since. And then it popped up in the Criterion Channel recently, and I was so excited to rewatch it for this. Like the moment that it popped back up on there, I was like dancing around Ivory every night, being like, "Do we want to watch Peeping Tom tonight? Do we want to watch Peeping Tom tonight?" So when it came up to do this, I was like, "Ooh, excuse! Now we have to watch Peeping Tom tonight." Spoiler alert, listeners, Ivory loved it. Like within the first shot of like the lingerie store, her mouth was on the floor and it didn't pick back up.
I mean, I think the first shot is my favorite shot in the whole movie, to be honest, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. This movie, I think, like we talked about with the others, I kind of get a sense that this is a movie that time has turned into an art house favorite, because it seems like from everything I read when it came out in 1960, people really did not like it because of
no, they did not.
Michael Powell seemed to take a real hit career-wise because of this movie. So it seems like it's one of those movies that kind of gained a cult following over the years. Synopsis-wise, this movie follows Carl Boehm, who plays Mark Lewis, and he is a focus puller for a movie studio and also a serial killer. He is constantly with his film camera. He can't be without it. It's like a security blanket, and basically he films himself murdering women. So there's a lot of POV in this, and he's like trying to capture fear on women's faces, and it's all because his daddy, who is a famous psychologist, abused him and did experiments on him, and he's kind of cutting together his own snuff film of all of these murders. He lives in a boarding house, which his family owns, and he slowly starts to fall for the young woman who lives beneath him, and it all kind of falls apart. I don't know. Would you add anything or adjust anything?
That's pretty close. I mean, he also moonlights as an erotic photographer as well.
Oh, yes, he does.
Which is lovely.
Cool.
The entire movie is both his relationship to cameras, his relationship to violence, and his relationship to women, because he's constantly surrounded by women. His downstairs neighbor that he gets a crush on and starts to like, she gets a crush on him first, and they start to have a romantic something. She lives with her mother, who's a blind woman, but hears him in the house. It's so really, 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 really good. And
and the blind woman is on to him. Like she's blind, but she's the one who's like, this guy's no good. I hear him upstairs. He's a creep. And she's right. But those moments are really good when she's like, she can just feel him behind her or whatever. Like that stuff is really cool.
Mm-hmm. I will also say this came out in 1960, the same year as another British director's big horror movie, Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. And this is also because of the use of the killer POV. This wasn't the first instance of the killer POV. I think Hangover Square from like 44 or something like that. A lot of those old 40s Fox movies had some killer POVs. But this is one of the most important ones, and, you know, associated to a serial killer who is murdering women with, you know, a sharp bladed instrument. It is frequently cited as being the first slasher movie, at least if you ask Scream 4.
Yeah, I don't quite buy that. I mean, I hear that all the time. I see the influence of this movie on slasher movies, of course, because of the POV, but I think it's a little bit of a reach to call this a slasher, personally.
Yeah. It truly doesn't feel like a slasher in any way, shape, and form. And I don't know how much of a release I know it was pulled from distribution in England after like a matter of days,
Yeah.
because of the commotion it caused. I don't know how well it was released or received in America at the time, because there's always so much to do made over its controversy in England. So I don't know how much of an impact it would have had on, say, John Carpenter, Bob Clark, Steve Miner, the people that like made the slasher boom in the 70s and 80s. I don't know if they saw this movie.
Well, it was released in 1962 in the United States by Astor Pictures, and it was released, simultaneously as a horror film, an art film, and an exploitation film. And it sort of, I'm reading the Wikipedia right now. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not reading the Wikipedia. It failed to find an audience and was one of the least successful releases by Astor. The film received a B rating from the National Legion of Decency, signifying, quote, morally objectionable in part content. The organization identified voyeurism and sadism as key elements of the film in its rating. So it doesn't seem like it did too well in either country.
Maybe it played on TV in the late 60s, early 70s. Later on, potentially, and had some influence. I don't know. I feel
it found a cult audience, so that didn't come from nowhere. I imagine it was through television. That's usually how it happens.
I know that the big resurgence of Michael Powell's career happened in the late 70s and the early 1980s, by Martin Scorsese and Francis Ford Coppola, who worked tirelessly to A, start the Film Foundation, and B, start the Film Foundation with locating, discovering, and restoring as much of the uncut versions of Michael Powell and his co-director Emmerich Pressburger's earlier movies, The Red Shoes, Black Narcissus, Life and Death of Colonel Blimp, Tales of Hoffman, all of those movies. None of which are horror movies, even though Tales of Hoffman has its moments, as does Black Narcissus. So I feel like it's possible that this had its resurgence around that time with those movies, and that would also land at the exact same time that the slasher boom was in like its full swing. So I could see the argument for this is like the rediscovered slasher that was seen at that time and then was probably marketed as the first slasher.
Well, Criterion plays a part in this as well, right? Like they did the physical release of it. I remember I feel like this was one of the releases I would see so I worked as the DVD merchandiser at the Virgin Megastore in Union Square in the 2000s. And we had a Criterion aisle like dedicated to Criterion. And I feel like this was in there by then, but Criterion, when they're at their best, helps usher the revival of movies like this.
Yes. Back in 1994, they put it on Laserdisc.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So also, it's worth mentioning that this is on the Criterion app right now for anyone who wants to rewatch it or hasn't seen it.
Yeah. So I feel like it had a resurgence more than likely in the late 70s, early 80s, and that's when it got. I can't speak to how much influence it had. I mean, maybe by the 80s, people were watching it on home video and VHS or seeing it in revival screenings, and then that inspired slasher films. But I digress. It's great. It's very, very easy to see that it had a big influence on the work of Brian De Palma, because literally it's a man like stroking his camera and murdering women with a tripod.
And it's POV, but it's literally through a camera. So it's like literally cinematic, right? You're like through the camera's eyes to the point where it has like a cross through the picture that you're seeing. And it's like you're following these sex workers to murder them. It reminded me in that regard of Arabato, where the camera is the vampire, basically. And I looked up, critics had a field day with like the Freudian themes of this movie.
Yeah.
But the one that I thought was most interesting was Peter Keogh's take on this, which he said, cinema here is equated to sexual aggression and a death wish, the camera to the phallus, photography to violation, and film to ritualized voyeurism. That's a pretty cool quote. I mean, it feels like it feels like preachy or like moralizing,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I take it in a different way.
Fun.
Like I
Yeah.
think that was his intention, but that makes me want to watch the movie. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
think he's
slap that in the
right, but I think
poster.
it's cool. You know?
It's also like, so there is like a big, quote unquote sleaze, like like prurient interest in this movie that's very like enjoyable and fun for horror audiences, especially like if you want to take a look into like 1950s 1960s like British lingerie shoots and stuff like that. So goddamn
Mm-hmm.
fun. But also like, this is a very odd instance where one of the like most artistic and technically accomplished filmmakers of the time is making a horror movie, like
Yeah.
at the top of their level. This movie is gorgeous. This movie is bathed in color. This like
Yes.
predates everything that Mario Bava and Dario Argento were gonna do, because it's the cinematic language of the Red Shoes and of Black
Mm-hmm.
Narcissus in The Matter of Life and Death. It like, I I would only compare it to like the way that like Stanley Kubrick followed up Barry Lyndon with The Shining. Like, we're not going to see Christopher Nolan's follow up to Oppenheimer be a Stephen King adaptation, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
we're not going to see or I guess like the other one I can think of is, which one we covered on the show, Pedro Almodovar's Skin I Live In, where like you get a real really 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 cinematic treatment of horror as a genre. And that's part of the reason why I love Brian De Palma so much, is because all of these things treat horror with respect and reverence and know that it can do a lot cinematically.
Do you
It's
know what
very
this made?
unique.
Yeah. This is. You know what this made me think of? This is a newer movie, and I feel like when I bring it up, I feel like maybe this is a movie that you don't like, but it's a movie that I love, which is the Elijah Wood remake of Maniac.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, I saw it the year that I lived in New Zealand, and it was actually banned in New Zealand. So the only screening of it ever was this Auckland Film Festival screening that I was at, and I just loved it. It's super stylish.
It's all
Elijah Wood
POV,
plays the
right?
killer. It's entirely through the killer's POV. You
Cool.
never come out. So the only time you ever see Elijah Wood is if he's like looking into a mirror or something like that. And it's the same setup. He owns this factory where his family makes mannequins and has but for generations in downtown LA. And he falls in love with this girl who's a photographer who comes to like take photos of the mannequins, and he's like trying not to kill her. And it's not just the POV, it's the way that both of these actors play psychopaths as like really sympathetic, and
That's
psychopath as the main character, you know?
I think that's the other thing that really aggravated British audiences, was not only is like England's most elite premier like filmmaker who got the through the war and is like the like most awarded filmmaker, like slumming it in the gutter, but he's bringing his beautiful aesthetic with him. And
Mm-hmm.
Karl-Heinz Bohm, the lovely German actor, who after this didn't get a lot more British work, but got a lot more work in Germany with Rainer von Fassbinder,
Fassbender.
my love.
We love
He's
him.
so fucking sympathetic. He's so like Charlie. He should be a little incel that you want to fucking flick away like a gnat. But he's a like sweetie, charming little boy who's been like severely traumatized and tortured by his father. And I think a lot of that irked audiences in 1960 in England, that the movie is not only like shot through his point of view, but also is very sympathetic to him as a character, to the
Yeah.
point that the dad in the footage is played by Michael Powell.
Yeah. Even more so than Norman Bates in Psycho, right? Who's
Mm-hmm.
much less sympathetic, because we're not in Norman Bates's point of view in that movie. We're in, the two women's point of view, basically. Yeah, he just plays it as very sympathetic. You really care for him. And I think your point about how audiences took it is is well taken, but I think we're in a moment like that again where people want bad characters to be punished. People, we're like in like every day Gen Z gets on the internet and reinvents the Hays Code.
God.
Where it's like, people seem to want morality plays right now. They want to see bad characters punished. They want to see good characters succeed. And so this kind of movie really gets under the skin of people who are, let's face it, kind of media illiterate.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love the opening scene of this so much. It's my favorite part of the movie, actually, is like where you open in camera POV and he is soliciting a sex worker who's talking into camera. He follows the sex worker up to like a pay by hour sleazy motel room and murders her by tripod. So basically he takes the cover off one of the tripod legs and it has a knife on it, and that's how he kills the woman. But it's so beautifully shot. The color she's wearing red and blue, which are very vibrant. Just, everything about it is just so beautiful.
There's another aspect of his kills that they kind of like leave as a twist for the end of the movie, because every time he kills someone, he takes the point off the tripod, goes in, but then something shines in their face and they get really freaked out and they start yelling at him, "What is that? Take that away, take that away, take it away. What is that? What are you doing?" Every single time he kills someone. And it's not until the end that you see what it is. And he's got this giant warped mirror that he puts on the front of his camera that tosses light back on them, but also like forces these women to watch themselves be murdered in this super bizarre funhouse mirror style. It is fucked up. It is so weird. And the clinical way that he talks about coming up with this and designing this. My favorite scene actually is, I think it's like the second murder in the movie, which is a lovely set piece with Maura Shearer from the Red Shoes, who is he's an actual ballerina, who kind of had a career ruined
dancer
by the Red Shoes, who is an extra on the like light comedy that he's working on, who decides to stay after the shoot so that he can shoot a test reel of her so that maybe she can get a little bit more famous. And it's just the two of them on the soundstage playing around on the set. She's very excited. She's dancing around to her little like radio. And he's just like setting up the lights. She's talking about how comfortable he makes her, that it's hard for her to be serious and do the scene because he just makes her so comfortable. He's just so easy to be around. And he's just calmly sets up the lights. Her dance too, she's like moving the lights around with the dance and it all like stays perfectly and it's so beautiful, it's so well done. And then her death in the trunk is so good. It's a really, really magical scene. It reminds me a lot of the Frankie Goes to Hollywood set piece from Body Double. It
reminded
lovely.
me of like old Anne Margaret dance numbers. Like the dance
like
moves
Bye Bye Birdie
themselves are very Anne Margaret in the 60s, and it's like jazz music with bongos. It's super chic.
It's super fun. I also, one of my other favorite scenes that I'd entirely forgotten about until this rewatch involves the blind mother from downstairs. As soon as she's like not only onto him, but onto him and the fact that he's like been taking her daughter out. They come back from their date and they don't see her, so they assume she's already gone to bed. And he says goodnight to her, takes her away, goes back up to his studio, sits down, starts working on a film, and she's in the back of the frame in darkness, like fucking Toni Collette in Hereditary. Until
like
he
Michael
notices
Myers
her
coming out of shadows.
It's like a fucking Lake Mungo setup. It's so good. And because, again, this is a Michael Powell movie, so much of this, it's such like old school kind of filmmaking. So much of this is done in long shots that are just like blocked out and paced so the camera's moving with the actors and it's very fluid. And it doesn't feel like it's slow. It doesn't feel like it's a one shot. but it creates a great atmosphere and tension. And so she's back there while he's doing his thing and we're just watching him, and we notice her before he does. It's fucking freaky as hell.
It's great. Her character, to me, provides most of the stress of the movie, and just the fact that she's on to him. And that scene is really great because, you know, she's like, tell me what you're working on. Describe the film to me. Like, I hear you up here moving around every night. And like, this is something you don't understand about blind people, but I know this space without ever having been in it because of your foot patterns on on the ceiling. And just such a great scene, such beautiful writing and such cool performances. And it's just so good.
I love the setup of the killer upstairs that you're living with, essentially. It's kind of a riff on what Alfred Hitchcock did in The Lodger, his silent film from like 1929 or something, which is Jack the Ripper story, in which like there's a new lodger upstairs and they just hear him pacing around all the time and they think he might be Jack the Ripper. And there's an incredible shot because you can't convey someone walking around upstairs in a silent movie. You can't like play the sound of footsteps. There's an amazing shot where the family is at the dinner table that's shot low, so you're looking up and you see the ceiling above them, and the ceiling like fades out to glass, and then you can see him walking around up there. It's so fucking cool.
That's
but I
so
love that
cool.
like narrative setup. It's done so well in that. It's done so well here, and then it's repeated again in Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde. With all of them are like falling in love with someone who lives in your home, who is probably a serial killer, and it's really, really good. I was thinking a lot about Hitchcock while watching this movie, because it's like, it really feels like Michael Powell stepping into the skin of Alfred Hitchcock while still having his visual language. And there was a quote from Hitchcock that I love, talking about Psycho. I think he did an interview with Peter Bogdanovich in the 60s that's recorded. And he was talking about how you can make characters as reprehensible as you want because audiences kind of secretly want that. And all you have to it takes very little to get the audience on their side, no matter how bad they've done. Like, studio execs will always tell you, you're going to lose the audience if someone does this. And he's like, we're going to lose the audience if they don't do that. He was saying that like every audience member that watches Psycho freaks out at the shower scene, is terrified, and then you watch Norman clean up the body and put the car in the lake, and the car goes down and stops and doesn't sink all the way. And he was like, the whole audience gasps and waits because they want him to get away with it.
Yes, that's so smart. It's how I always feel about like the idea of likability as a writer, because to me, you know, I grew up on John Waters movies as like my very first, like, this is so important to me and this is so influential to me. Those characters are rotten to the core.
Yeah.
And what John Waters understands is like, the more rotten a character is, the more that you like them, because they're living out some sort of fantasy that you might not want to actually do, but there's a part of you that like, there's some lizard brain part of you that's like, that just wants to be free the way that those characters are free, even though they're just rotten, you know, like, of course, there's a part of you that wants to hurl abuses at every single person you meet, or, you know what I mean? Like, there's every part of us, every one of us has some part of our brain that is Babs Johnson or Don Davenport.
In that interview that I was listening to with Hitchcock, he was saying that like most American audiences can't relate to being murdered or to murdering someone, but everyone can relate to not wanting to get caught. Everyone has that fear. Everyone has that fear. And so when you spend the whole movie, when you spend this, like, the language of the movie all with one character, and you show he has a traumatic backstory, and you show that he had a really rough childhood, and that he can be amiable and sweet, and he is a talented photographer, and he's like, all of his friends are women, and he gets along very well with them, and he puts them at ease. You kind of have that, like, I could fix him. But if he gets with her, it's fine. If he just gets away with the murders, it'd be fine. There's a scene in this that's much like that, where the police come to the film set after Maura Shearer's body is discovered. And he like very like openly tells his coworkers like, I'm gonna film them. I'm gonna film the police. This is interesting to me. And he like sneaks his little 8mm camera into his interview and stuff like that. And when the investigators are searching the set, he sneaks up into the rafters to film them. And when Ivor and I were watching it, we're like, damn, he's gonna get a good shot. This is gonna be great for his doc. This is great. And then some like pencils slip out of his pocket and you freeze. You don't want him to get caught.
Yeah. Because you're in his point of view. The movie is his.
Yeah.
You're gonna like whoever the movie is about. Whoever you're following, that's the character you're gonna like. And it doesn't matter what they do, or you know what I mean? It just doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You're in their point of view. It's like why every season of Fargo is so good, because like every season of Fargo is about a character who has murdered someone or accidentally killed someone, and the whole season is about people getting closer and closer to finding out their secret. And it's so stressful but it's delightful because you're with that person and that's who you care about.
Yeah, because we've all done something quote unquote wrong that we want to get away with, because we don't want to be found out. We don't want to be persecuted. We don't want to. And something like Psycho, I feel like was able to do better at the time because it allowed. It allowed the audience to have their cake and eat it too. We could relate to Norman Bates, but we were still primarily relating to his victims, and we like spent the second half of that movie hunting him down with the sister and the boyfriend. And we were able to be scared, but we got a resolution and all that stuff. Like I want Norman Bates and I want Karl-Heinz Bohm from this. I want Mark Lewis on his little director's chair in his little studio. I want Norman Bates and Mark Lewis to somehow meet and fall in love. These sweet boys. Maybe they could fix each other. I want a whole season of Hannibal about this.
The other thing about them is that neither of them are like sociopaths. It doesn't seem they're not incapable of feeling. They're both trying very hard not to commit these crimes and just failing at it because they're warped and demented. Not because
he like really evil. Doesn't want to hurt. He really doesn't want to hurt Helen. And Massey, the girl, when she implies that she would like to be filmed by him, he like clutches his camera and says, "No, it will never film you. It will never film you." He's great. He's amazing. Yeah. He's so good. When he kisses his camera, are you kidding me?
Yeah. He cannot be without his camera. It's like a security blanket. Helen is like, can't you leave that behind? And he has to like really think about it because he hasn't been without it. And who knows how long.
Well, and speaking of all the Freudian reads into this movie, the room where she's like, I'll put it in here and it'll be safe. It turns out to be his mother's old bedroom that he hasn't changed or touched since she died. And she was like, oh, I just thought it was a closet. Sorry. And he was like, no, it's okay. It will be safe in there.
Yeah.
God damn, he got some mommy issues.
He sure does. And some daddy issues. I mean, the recordings of his father abusing him as a small child are really upsetting. I mean, genuinely.
Well, yeah. And like forcing him to like sit with his mom's corpse and stuff like that. And then immediately remarrying this like bombshell girl like 6 weeks after. Yeah. It's rough. It's really rough. I fucking adore this movie. It's so fun. It has all the
beautiful
prurient pulp I would want with all of the art house like glory and mystique. It's also very funny. It's ripe for a revisit. If you haven't seen it, it is on the Criterion Channel. And I adore this movie.
Adore it. Anyway, let's move on to our favorite game, Have They Seen It? The game where we speculate wildly whether notable figures have seen this movie. This person is top of mind because I mentioned them. Do you think Elijah Wood has seen this movie?
I think so. He has fucking taste. I mean, as we discussed a few weeks ago.
He loves this genre.
He loves the genre. His company, Spectrovision, produced Mandy. They also kind of revived the Mondo team with the new company Mutant. Who just put out the Lisa Frankenstein soundtrack on vinyl. It's all full circle. Elijah Wood rocks. I remember seeing like an interview with him recently where he was talking about like his proposal for how to continue the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and it's brilliant.
Mhm.
It's so smart, and he should be allowed to do it. Like,
I love him. I have never once been to the Whole Foods in Silver Lake without seeing Elijah Wood. He looks great. He's in his 40s and he's very chic and fashionable, but like in a manly way. Like if he weren't Elijah Wood, you'd be like, oh, that guy's like a furniture designer or something like that. You know what I mean? Like a wood artist. He's like chic in that way, in that like workman's wear kind of way. Just love him. Of course he's seen this. And he made Maniac, the remake, which I already said is very much like this movie. So for sure he's seen it.
Do you think Brian De Palma has seen this? I mean, like, if he hasn't, my God, he's missing out.
I don't know if he could have done that museum scene in Dress to Kill without having seen this. I mean, of course he could. He's Brian De Palma. He can do anything. But it just feels like it's in conversation with this movie, you know, or like a continuation of this movie.
Yeah, I feel like Body Double is also very much in conversation with this. I feel like this is the kind of stuff that he puts on before bed to get his wife in the mood. Like, it's literally fetishistic voyeurism. This is his bag. Like, if he hasn't seen it, I want to be there. I'm sure he and Coppola and Scorsese, when they were buddies in the 70s, got to have a big retrospective screening of this with Michael Powell in attendance or something. And he probably had to be escorted out of the theater because he got too excited. I've never seen him talk about this one. I've only ever seen him talk about Vertigo and Psycho and Hitchcock and stuff like that. No one ever asks him about this movie.
Someone should. You should.
Brian, come on the podcast. Let's talk to
you. This person came to mind because I mentioned the show Fargo, but she's the star of the original movie Fargo. Do you think that American actress Frances McDormand has ever seen Peeping Tom?
I hope so. I mean, she's married to Ethan Coen. I assume they have a very large film library at their home, or at least like a good knowledge of them. I know that the Coen brothers specifically rewatch a lot of classic 60s and 40s movies before they start every project. I wouldn't be surprised if she's seen this. I feel like she would dig it.
Do you think she would like it? You think so?
I think she would.
I can't tell if she's someone who would like horror movies of any kind.
She gives me the vibe of someone who would, like, kind of surprisingly, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
You think she likes horror movies? You think she's like, she loves Evil Dead 2?
I think she does.
Or do you think...
I feel like Joel and Ethan aren't proud of Evil Dead 2. It's like, oh, we got her start. And she's like, nah, that's one of your best ones. I think she's like, I think she's really, really, really jazzed about that. I think she's like, loves whenever their buddy Sam comes around to hang out.
Yeah. I feel like she could like some of these A24 ones. Like, I bet she would like Hereditary or something like that, you know, because she's like,
shocked she hasn't been in one yet. Yeah.
She'd be great. I mean, she's such a fabulous actor.
Mm-hmm. I mean, my other one was going to be Toni Collette. Do you think Toni Collette has seen Peeping Tom?
Do you know what? My gut says no. And
it's
I
possible.
don't know why.
Yeah.
Not because she's not cool or smart or she wouldn't like it or anything. My woman's intuition just immediately said no.
Oh my God. Well,
what do you think?
It's possibly not. I don't know if she does a lot of horror. I mean, she's in Krampus, she's in Hereditary. Like, she's so fucking talented. It's possible.
Yeah.
I think she would like it. But it feels like the kind of movie that, like, if you didn't catch it at Kim's Video in the early 2000s, maybe you didn't catch it. Which is a shame. Because, again, like, it hasn't been widely available in the US for a long time. But, I mean, hopefully Toni Collette has a subscription to the Criterion Channel. I can watch it there.
I bet she does.
I bet
nothing
she
else,
does.
she definitely has Criterion.
Yeah. I would not be surprised. The amount of, like, I was also mentioning this to Ivory the other day. When I, like, got into art house movies and I was, like, growing up and, like, getting into the stuff when I was in, like, high school, like, the Criterion Collection wasn't that big of a thing. Like, it was a big thing in the film world. but it definitely was not even remotely like a gateway film thing for a lot of people. It was a like, oh, you've already gone through all this stuff. You're ready for Andre Vita movies? Check out the Criterion Collection. Like, it wasn't
Well, it's a much
that.
bigger deal now than it was, but I can tell you,
Yeah.
I was the DVD merchandiser at the Virgin Mega
Yeah.
Store, and we did have a dedicated Criterion aisle. This is
No,
like
it's always been a
2003,
big deal.
2004.
It's been like they've been around
Yeah.
since the 80s. It's been a big deal, but it's like it hasn't been like, I feel like maybe I'm saying this wrong. I feel like its popular zeitgeist has changed around it. Like
Right.
there's like between the Criterion Channel and them putting out a lot more. I mean, they have always put out contemporary stuff at the times. I mean, they put out Pulp Fiction in the 90s, like, but like I feel like the internet and like, you know, the closet videos like have just become memes now. Like
The closet videos are so special.
they're so delightful. Like Paul Giamatti was in it recently. I really hope we get a video with him in there. He's such a horror fan. I was so
Yeah.
excited to see. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like more youngsters are getting into this and having access to these movies that I didn't have when I was like 17.
Well, that could be, and it could be because of streaming in part too. But I was going to suggest, like, maybe we both feel like Criterion became quote unquote a thing as we became adults, because it's a very adult kind of thing. It's like
This is also true.
Manhattans and mid-century furniture, like other yuppie interests. Like Criterion is kind of in that space a little bit, I think.
I mean, well, to that point, I was rewatching an episode of Frasier recently where they get a DVD player for the first time, and like Daphne wants to watch Caddyshack or something, and Niles brings over literally a Criterion DVD of The Unbearable Lightness of Being, and I was like, God damn it, this fucking Frasier can't keep getting me like this.
Yeah, he got your ass. Both great movies, by the way.
Both
I
great
love
movies.
Caddyshack.
Who's funnier than Daniel Day-Lewis?
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Bloodhouse. If you liked it, please rate it 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. You can email us at bloodhousepod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter or Instagram. Drusilla, shout out your ats on social media.
You can find me and my art over at sisterhidedesign.com. There's a lot of new work popping up over there as we speak. There's also prints available for sale at sisterhidedesign.com for The Cure, for the Rolling Stones, a lot of really cool stuff over there. All officially licensed tour prints that I designed. You can also find me on Instagram at Hide Sister, and you can find me on Letterboxd if you look for Drusilla Adeline or Sister Hyde. What about you, Josh? How can people film you without your knowledge?
Letterboxd, Blue Sky, and Instagram at Joshua Conkle. Now, I'm super excited for our next episode. It's a movie I've been in love with for a couple of years, and it's getting it's been impossible to see, basically. Mm-hmm. And now it's getting a new release by one of the Vinegar Syndrome imprints. What is it?
We are moving from 8mm to shot on video as we watch shot on video queer cult classic Blonde Death.
Ooh, I can't wait. It's so good. See you then. Bye.